Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. And as you know, on my channel, I have been restoring this 1978 Volkswagen camper bus. And not only that, converting it to electric, and I've been driving it on the road, so it is finished. But it isn't fully finished yet. Now I've completed the exterior, but I really have more work to do on the interior, and my first priority is the front cabin. Now as you can see, I've already refurbished the dashboard. I installed new ABS plastic kicker panels that match my door cards. I've also added a new molded rubber floor mat with rubber step mats. And then I've wrapped the outside of my seat risers, as you can see, and installed these comfy Vanagon seats. But my ceiling is still just bare painted steel with exposed wiring for a dome light. So in this video, I'm going to take care of that, and I'm going to show you how I created a custom wooden headliner to complete the front cabin interior. So keep watching to see how I did it. So this piece of paper that's here is important. This is an image that I downloaded from the Samba, and I'm going to provide a link in the video description to the actual Samba forum that I got this from, because I want to credit the author for this because he did a great job of creating a template for us with all sorts of detailed measurements of all these little things. And so that you can get the original image, because from my printout here, it's very hard to read some of this print. This is a great template. Now I can't vouch for the numbers yet, but stay to the end of the video and you'll see if these are accurate or not. What this shows from an overall measurement though, is that on one side is 131.3 centimeters and the other measurement this way is 112. Well, 131 is over 4 feet. It's like 51 inches or something like that, a little over 51 inches. So you cannot buy a 4x4 sheet of 1/8 inch thick plywood. That would not fit. You would have to have at least one dimension being over 51 inches. What I've heard a lot of people do, or on the Samba forums, is they found suppliers that will supply 1/8 inch thick birch plywood in 5x5 sections, 60 inch by 60 inch, so that would work fine. Or you could do what I did here, which was just go to my local Home Depot and buy a 4x8 sheet. Now this is pine plywood. It's sanded pine 1/8 inch thick plywood. So it's softer. Ideally birch plywood would be better, but I plan on sealing this up pretty well both sides. And I haven't determined what I'm going to do finishing yet, but you'll find out later. But I'll seal up both sides. So I think the pine will work just fine for me, and I don't plan on abusing it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take all these measurements there, and I'm going to transfer them to the cardboard that this plywood is sitting on top of. I've got this huge piece of cardboard here, and so I'm going to create the template out of cardboard first. So I'll bring it back in when I show you the progress there. Okay, so at this point I've cut the cardboard into a rectangle in the overall dimensions. I have not put any of that detail cuts into it yet. And it has about a 5/8 of an inch taper toward the front on each side. With the dimensions that were given to me on that template, it seems to fit really well. So I've got it basically into that channel there and up into the channel here on either side. So from left to right, it looks pretty good. Rather than doing the measurements on the template and just going for it, I'm just going to do all of the rest of the cuts with scissors and a knife on the car right here. So I started working out the visor stem holes there, and the middle I've changed my mind on. That's the nice thing about cardboard, is you can always add tape back into it to reestablish a line that you might have cut out. Originally this would have probably gone like, it would have kind of swooped over like that and then down, and it would have incorporated the two visor piece, the visor end pieces and the rear view mirror. But because I have a bunch of ugliness back here, like this hole, that I have to cover with a grommet, I think I'm going to try this first. I'm going to try to cut each thing out individually, cut this out like that, and then cut these out, and then see how that looks. Now it's going to be difficult to make that line up. We'll see. Now, of course, I have the Westfalia with the pop top. As you can see, I've got my top up here. And the reason I can get away with, I think, fitting it like this and making changes to it after I cut it out of wood is because I probably need to end mine. This is, you can see it's like 6 inches too long. I'm gonna probably have to end on this rib right here. So I'm probably just gonna follow along this rib and cut it off at the very end of that, and then screw it, the back of it, into there. So I've got like 6 extra inches here. So what I'm gonna do is cut the front out with this as my template, and then get that front fitting. Like I said, I'll probably have to pull it out at least once, and then kind of have to do that if I have to come back in and cut around that. Once I get the front the way I want and it's perfect, then I'll come back in and on the wood mark this line out and then take it all back out and cut it. So that's the plan. Let's see how it goes. Here's a little in progress shot here. Now, what I've been doing thus far is getting the panel kind of put in like in the middle of the B pillar, and then really just pushing it forward or sliding it on those rails. Once it gets to about right here or just before here, it starts getting really tight. And so this has been several iterations of me kind of figuring out where to sand off to get that taper correct, where it fits in the front correctly. And I'm finally just about there. I probably will do a little more sanding because at this point I'm like only about 2 inches away and I still need to mallet that in. The problem is if I pound it on the back with a mallet, it gets so tight that I can't get it back out. And of course I need to get it out each time. So I'll just do a little more sanding when it gets tight until I get it to fit in. I've done some more sanding and cutting on these little holes here. I marked those little visor points, and I'm gonna cut those holes out after I pull it back out again. And then I've also marked where I want my light, which is right here, a little bit more forward than probably the stock. Okay, so a little progress shot here. I am hoping this is my final test fit before I pull it out one more time and do all the finishing of it before putting it back in for the final time. Knock on wood, I'm hoping this is it because it's such a pain to get to taking this in and out. But as you can see, I've got my holes cut around here, got my visor fit in, the holes cut around the little buttons and the rear view mirror and the little dash cam power cable that's going up into there that'll go through a grommet in that hole. All those are cut and they all seem to be working or looking the way I want them, and so that's great. Now, one issue that I have, and wanted to bring this to your attention, is notice that the headliner is quite close. It's really just bumping up and kind of rubbing up against my visor here. And the one thing I'm going to do both to prevent that and to secure it is I'm going to get some finishing screws, and the way I'm going to secure this in is to just get some sheet metal finishing screws and put 4 across the front. And what I'm doing is put one right here and one right here, and this might come out on camera, but if you notice when I push in, if I put the screw in a certain location right here, if I push in, it actually lifts the headliner up and gives it that about a 1/4 inch gap, and that relieves that rubbing against the visor. The back is still protruding out, and so now I'm at the point where I'm going to try to mark it right here against that rib and try to draw a nice straight line to cut it all the way across, and when I take it out I'll do that final cut. Now, one thing you'll notice is it bows like this, and kind of it meets up in the middle here and touches that top little framing rib, but over here there's large gaps. Now I can see if I can steam the wood out, and what I plan on doing here is, again, a couple sheet metal screws, just some finishing screws, like one here and then one here, probably just two maybe. Okay, well, I got the panel taken out, flipped over. Obviously we're looking at the bottom side of it, the visible side, and cleaned it up with some 240 grit paper, and of course made my final cut for the back. So it's ready to go. We're going to go ahead and start finishing it now. So I got it all cleaned up and ready to stain. And what I'm going to use for stain is this Varathane whitewash. I've never used this before, but I like the idea of this. So you see, a white stain would actually just lighten the wood up and kind of make it a little bit lighter yellow or maybe even pinkish. But this whitewash stain actually colors it white, but leaves the wood grain, as you can see in this display right there. It leaves the wood grain, and I like the idea of that. I think it'll match the car up better. And so we're going to put a couple coats of this on there and see how it looks. All right, well, we got the first coat of that whitewash stain on, and while we're waiting for that to dry for the second coat, I thought I'd come over here, and I got this product here. This is a sound and insulation mat, and it's self-adhesive. It's 10 millimeters thick, and this is a 60-inch by 40-inch piece, so it should cover pretty well with some excess. And like I said, it's about 10 millimeters thick, or 3/8 of an inch thick, so it's not the thickest stuff, but I think it'll be good for this job. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that up to the ceiling. That way we'll have some sound dampening up here underneath our headliner. Okay, well, here is the finished piece right here. And before I install it, I just wanted to go over a little bit about how I did this. Now, I will say this is not what was originally in my mind when I was conceptualizing this. Let me explain what I did and kind of the mistakes I made and how it turned out like this. But I'm actually liking how it turned out, so we're going to go forward and install this. Obviously, the first thing I did was I prepped it, and then I put that whitewash stain on it. Well, that whitewash stain, I first did it with a brush and then a rag, like you would do, and it was pretty streaky, right? You know, it was pretty streaky, so I let that be the first coat, and I thought, okay, let me change up my technique a little bit. So I sanded it to 240 just to clean it up. Cleaned it again, and the second coat I did a foam brush, and I got pretty much the same result. So that's why it's kind of streaky, and you do see some of the wood grain, but you also see kind of paintbrush strokes. Okay, so that's cool. It looks distressed, and I kind of liked it. So we're done with the stain and let that cure, and then I went to go do a polyurethane. Well, I didn't want to spend any money. You know me, I'm a cheap guy. So I went down to my basement, looked to see what I already had. And what I had was this Helmsman spar urethane. And I used that for some project I don't remember. And I forgot kind of what it, you know, the difference between spar urethane and polyacrylic, I guess, is a water-based urethane. I just don't know much about this kind of stuff. This isn't, you know, carpentry isn't really my thing. But I had it, and it's oil-based, it's high quality, so I thought, well, I'll go ahead and use it. It says clear, so I put it on. Well, it actually gave it this yellowed effect. It protects it really well. It's nice and shiny and well protected, but it does give it that yellowed effect. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But again, I kind of like it. It kind of makes it like distressed, and so I guess we'll just go with that. It kind of looks cool to me. So I kind of Mr. Magoo'd myself into something that ultimately I kind of like, but like I said, I didn't really envision that. So that is the piece, and that is why it looks interesting the way it does. I also then got a aftermarket LED kind of dome light. It's one that I found that was very low profile, so I went ahead with that. And I looked for one that I could find, you know, in multiple places. I found that on Amazon, but they also sell it in AutoZone and other auto parts stores. It's just an aftermarket little dome LED light, but it didn't have a switch built into it. I didn't like any of the ones that had switches built in them. and I like this one. So I found a switch in my stash, just a normal kind of panel mount switch, and I cut a hole and I wired that in. So I have a switch that I can use to kill the light if I want to. So that is the piece, and before I go to install it, let me go ahead and give you the final measurements, because I think it'll be interesting to see the measurements that I have from that Samba article versus these measurements. Probably the big difference is that mine is a Westfalia versus the other one. Okay, so let me just give you a few of the overall measurements just so you have an idea. So we'll go ahead and at the largest part, probably about right there, from front to back, we've got about, I'll give it to you in SAE, this is about 38.25. So whatever that is in metric, you can do that translation. So 38.25 from front to back. Now the overall width, I'll give you two widths. One at the back, because it is tapered. So the very back of it is right at 51 inches. So 51 inches in the back. And from this little horn right here, right before we go into the thing to here, right about 49 inches. So 49 inches is the front taper, so it tapers in almost 2 inches. And then I'll give you the measurement from the very front of this end to this end, 46.25. So those are my measurements. And yeah, let's go ahead and get it installed and see what it looks like in the car. And there it is. Looking pretty good. Now, I didn't get a video clip of me installing that insulation, but trust me, I stuck that up there. That's underneath there. So let me show you how I fixed it in here. So on the back here, you could see that it's fit pretty nicely. Now what I didn't need steam or anything major. It's been pretty hot and muggy, so that might have helped. But what I did was I took some clamps with some soft rubber pieces on them. I put a clamp here and a clamp here on either side, so a couple clamps, and let them sit for about 24 hours. I let the wood acclimate to that shape, and then I put these chrome self-tapping screws in here and here, and then once the clamps came off, it's held its shape really well. Now notice that because I've taken up this slack right here, it's actually shortened my measurement. So I'm about a ½ inch shy of it fitting in the channel on either side. Now, you can take that in consideration with the measurements I gave you before and add maybe a total of an inch back onto the rear. But I will warn you that if you were to add that extra inch on there, it'll make it a lot more difficult to get in and out. Okay, now let me show you the front side. As you can see, my door is open, so my dome light is on. My switch works. And on the front here, it looks pretty good. Got my custom rear view mirror here and a little grommet for that cable that goes up in there. Cleans that up quite a bit. Just kind of like on the back, I use these chrome finishing screws, these sheet metal screws. There's a couple in the center and then one on the outside. Again, the purpose of this is not to hold the headliner in because it is in there tight. The purpose of this is to create this curvature around the front. So if you screw this in, it curves that down a little bit and gives more room for the visors so they don't rub on all over it. And yeah, the visors work great, and I think everything looks really good up front here. Well, I think that about does it for this video. I've completed my headliner project here, and I hope you enjoyed it and learned from it. Any of the links to products or things that I talked about will be in the video description. If you like this type of content, whether it's Volkswagen restoration, EV conversion, or other DIY content, please consider subscribing to the channel. And until the next video, we'll talk to you later.